You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Lunid Lewis, and today I have the honor of introducing a very special guest to the show, Savannah Arroyo. She is known as the Networth nurse, a full-time registered nurse in LA, California. She uses her skills as a leader in the healthcare operations to manage multifamily syndications. She also helps busy medical professionals create passive income through real estate investing. Savannah, welcome to the show.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. I'm super stoked to be here.
It's an honor to have you. It's rare mix, right? Nursing and real estate.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to hear about your story and how it all started. So let's get started. Tell us about your journey thus far.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Northern California. I'm from Sacramento. I went to Sacramento State University right out of high school. I knew I wanted to do nursing. So I went to nursing school at Sac State. I graduated 2013. I fell in love with the specialties. I worked in a couple different hospitals, and I was just naturally drawn towards leadership positions. And I was taking on process initiatives within the different hospitals I was working at. So I went back to school and I got my master's degree in nursing leadership and administration. And since I've transitioned down to Los Angeles, right now I oversee multiple departments at a hospital here in LA. And I got started real estate investing at the beginning of 2020. I was on maternity leave with my second daughter and just kind of learning about different ways to create additional streams of income, some passive income, kind of create some snowball wealth. And my husband and I started looking into real estate, and we really just wanted to start investing to create some time freedom for ourselves. Like we were currently putting all our money in our 401k, like 15 to 20%. And it just felt a little bit defeating that we couldn't touch this money until we were 65. And especially with a growing family and kind of some growing expenses in our lives, we wanted to be investing in something that could put money back into our pocket every month. So we started investing in single family homes. And then shortly after, we switched into multifamily syndications. And that's what we're doing right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's always nice to have a second income, to a surplus of some sort. How do you manage both, right? Because you still are a full-time nurse and you have the two kids and you're doing real estate. So how do you manage both the real estate and nursing?
Yeah. Routines, consistency, intentionality, organization. I mean, just really being specific about where we want to go. We have a super strong why, and we have an action plan of what we want to do to get there in the next 3 to 5 years. And really just, we make it a point to have work-life balance. And when we're working on real estate, we're very much intentional about that. And then when we're with our children, we're very much focused in on them.
Yeah, being present and being in the moment, it sounds like. So tell us about what your big why is.
Yeah. So our big why, we really got specific. So after, we had our second daughter, we were just looking at our current work schedules. We work 8-hour days, 40-hour weeks, 8 to 5-ish. And we were just thinking about, as our daughters start growing up and them going to like soccer practice and dance stuff and being able to pick them up from school or attend field trips, it just, with our current work schedules, it didn't really seem feasible. And we were trying to figure out, how can we kind of create a way to have our work schedules match more of their lives so that we can be really present for their lives while they're growing up? And that involves, maybe working a part-time job. And if we're going to be doing that, we need to have additional streams of income. So we just really started looking for different ways to do that. And then we got on our why, we were like very specific of where we want to be in 5 years. So we were like, okay, when we wake up in 5 years, this is what we want our day to look like. This is the activities we're doing. These are kind of what we're doing on a day-to-day. And so what do we need to be doing at 4 years to get there, and at 3 years and 2 years and 1 year? And so it really broke down what we need to be doing, like even on a monthly basis. Like we need to have this many multifamily properties at year 1 to be where we want to be at year 2, then 3, 4, 5. And so then it gives us kind of an action plan on our day-to-day activities to get there.
Nice, nice. Starting with the end in mind, right? You know what you're looking to achieve and you work your way up to it. So that's pretty fantastic. And that's the ideal life, to be able to be present and be there for the kids as they grow up, because it's so important to not miss out on the early years.
Yes.
Yeah. So for you in particular, if somebody in the corporate America is looking to start investing, especially right now, what are some tips that you can shed?
Yeah, get specific about what you want to achieve and what sort of investing you want to do. There's a lot of different strategies, especially within real estate, depending on how active or passive you want to be in that process. And I mean, that's really why we fell in love with the syndication model, is because now, like, my husband and I work with a lot of people. I mean, me, especially medical professionals who are really financially savvy. They're investor smart, but they do not have the time to be vetting out these real estate investments or kind of learning about different ways to start creating their wealth. And so by investing passively in one of our multifamily syndications, like, we're doing all the heavy lifting, we're doing all the work, we're vetting out the property and kind of doing, the financing, the business plan, we're doing that, and they're passively investing with us. So it's really just a perfect fit in that sense of them getting into real estate investing with minimal work, but there are tons of different strategies out there. And so say, like, you love real estate and want to be more active, create a business, I would start learning about it through different education systems out there. I mean, podcasts, books. I would definitely go on social media and reach out to someone who's doing what you want to be doing. So if you want to be flipping houses, go on your Instagram or Facebook and find someone who's flipping houses and reach out to them, ask them how they got started. Or if they're doing some different kind of strategy, like the syndications, if you see someone out there who's doing it and following them. And a lot of these people are posting like very regular, great, amazing content full of all this knowledge and education. So I think that's one of my biggest ways for sure of connecting with people.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you considered outside of the state? Like, you're in California, investing outside the state, and what's the complications with, if any, with that? Because I know that you can get property managers, right, to ensure that things run smoothly for your tenants, so you're not flying in and out of the state to deal with tenant issues. So have you yourself considered outside of the state, country, real estate, and what are the complications?
Yeah, definitely. So we currently, when we first started investing, bought single family homes over in Atlanta, Georgia. We really love that market. And then our multifamily deals, like our apartment complexes, have all been up in Oregon at this point. And my parents live up there. We have boots on the ground. We have a really good team built up there. And so as of this point, all of our deals have been out of state. And you're exactly right. You have to have an amazing property management team in place. That's huge. And that's one of the biggest team members that we vet out when we're looking to invest in these type of deals, is calling around to 5, 10, maybe property managers with a list of interviewing questions, making sure that they're a right fit for your business. They're going to be managing your property, which is huge, especially in a syndication where you're making returns for other investors. It's very important that your business plan goes to plan. And so having a very thorough interview with them, just kind of asking years of experience, their experience overseeing renovations, what are some big obstacles they've encountered. We're very heavy on our interview process, and then have additional interviews. And then if we feel like someone's kind of equal in terms of skill set level, we'll go based on personality, because we're going to be dealing with these people, having a relationship with them for 5, 10 years, depending on our business strategy. And it's super important that it's a right fit, even personality wise, because your way of communicating with each other is super important.
Yeah. And that goes for hiring in any part of your business, right? Like, if you have a deal breaker, it has to be personality. You have to like the person. You have to have shared common interests, right? So that's very crucial. I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, I agree with you. If you do the hard work in the beginning, then it becomes easier for you to, don't have to worry about retention or anything going awry with your investment. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's really crucial. Tell us a little bit about syndication for those who are listening who are not aware of what that process is, because it's a different form of investing. It's, transferring something of like groups are involved, individuals are involved in terms of how to invest and how to use other people's money. So go ahead and enlighten us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, definitely. It's really just kind of a hidden treasure. I mean, I didn't hear about it when we first started investing, which is why we just went down the single family home route, because everyone kind of knows that. But once we discovered syndication and the power of it, it's such a powerful strategy. So really it's investors pooling together their resources to do bigger deals, which ultimately have less risk with higher rewards. So instead of like my husband and I going out and buying a single family home on our own, say we're connecting with a few other people who want to do the same thing, want to buy a real estate property with great returns. Now we can get 5-10 people to pool together that capital and different resources in terms of the ability to take down the deal and pool it together to buy now an apartment complex. And an apartment complex, because it has multiple tenants, really just different strategies that you can implement in a apartment building by raising rents, adding additional income, things like laundry, decreasing expenses like property management, or just different things that are kind of out of control. Like we're basically going out and kind of flipping apartment buildings, I'd say, within a 5-year period. So finding an apartment complex that's really mismanaged, kind of ran down, just kind of a long-term owner who's just kind of neglecting it. And we're going in and buying it, increasing the rents, doing some offset renovations that they've kind of put off, doing some new paint fixtures, doing some small renovations to allow us to increase rents, and then decreasing expenses by implementing water efficient fixtures, more efficient property management teams, different contract services. And then it really allows us to get an amazing returns through the investment. And then this is something that we now give to our passive investors who are investing in the deal. So that's kind of a basic form of a syndication, a group thing.
Yeah, that well put. So essentially what I heard is it's crowdfunding for real estate.
Yes.
In that sense, it just allows a pool of people to come together to invest. How is that different from Fundrise, if at all?
Yeah, I was thinking Fundrise in my head when you were saying that. So Fundrise, you're going out and you're putting your money, and then they're investing it in projects. So they're kind of like a middleman at that point, right? So then now they're taking your money and investing it in projects. So they're taking a cut of your returns. When you invest directly with an operator like myself or tons of other people that are out there doing this, there's no middleman. So there's, I think, potentially better returns that you could get then with Fundrise, because we're going direct to our investors. And then we're doing all the communication. I know Fundrise has their own marketing and their communication, and it's kind of like stockpiled in this big group. But when you're investing directly with operators, you're really investing specifically with their team. So my investors are investing with myself and my husband, Willow Investment Group. And then, so we're doing all the communications. The money's coming from us. There's no middleman involved.
Oh, more control. You get a lot more control of that.
Yes.
That's cool. That's neat. Very nice. So how have you seen the pandemic affect the real estate market?
Yeah, it's really been super crazy to watch. I know that throughout the whole pandemic, which was when we got started investing in real estate, there was a lot of people who were sitting on the sidelines, really kind of scared about, not knowing what was going to happen. And I mean, that's completely normal. It was like something our world has never seen before. And people were just very weary of kind of what to do within real estate. And for my husband and I, we were taking big action steps during this time. I mean, we bought our single family homes. We bought 2 or on our 3rd apartment complex throughout the pandemic. I know now it's starting to ease up a little bit, but even now, so we're recording like May 2021, like housing prices are insane right now. Like people are starting to come out of it. And I think there's a big chunk of people who definitely lost money throughout the pandemic, but I think there was a big chunk of people who were kind of like hoarding it, nervous and scared about what was going to happen. And now they have this money that they're interested in spending on either upgrading their primary residence. And it's just creating a huge seller's market, which has been very competitive for us. But that's where it's super important to have great relationships with brokers who can get you kind of direct to seller in that way.
You get to essentially, you see the market changes and you capitalize on it during the 2020 year. That's neat. So tell us about your morning routine. I know speaking of the pandemic, it ran havoc on a lot of people's habits, a lot of people's routines, having to be home and adjust and adapt to everything. Tell us about you. How do you get up, dress up, and show up? What's your morning routine like?
Yeah, morning routines are so important. I love this podcast for highlighting that with people. And because I think it's super important that everyone has different morning routines. And yes, you hear like the same ones over and over. So you're like, oh, I should be doing that. But I think it's important to kind of reflect that everyone's a little bit different and different things work for different people's lifestyles. So I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. So my morning routine is definitely different now having kids than it was before I had kids.
Yeah.
I do try and wake up like half hour earlier than them. I would say like 6 a.m. is when I set my alarm and come downstairs, make coffee and do a meditation before they wake up. And then I'm getting them ready, getting them dressed. My husband and I are working to get them off to daycare. And so then at that point they leave and I'm commuting to work. So I commute about 20 minutes to the hospital here in LA, which isn't bad. And this is super important for me to listen to something. Before, when I was getting into real estate, I was binging podcasts like very religiously, day in and day out. If I have a good audiobook I'm listening to, it's super important. I'm listening to it. But like lately for the last like 6 months, I've just been listening to really good pump up, feel good music. And this is super important. And I think a lot of people don't even realize like how influential what you listen to really affects your mood and your overall attitude. And I mean, it can be super easy to fall into like, you know, I love Drake and Khalid and Taylor Swift, but sometimes they have super sad songs, right? And so when I'm listening to that, it just feels kind of heavier. So I make it a point. I go on Spotify. They have amazing playlists of like mood booster, happy beats. Like you can like type in feel good music and it'll give you full playlists for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I do usually on my morning commute. And then when I get to work, I usually do intermittent fasting too. That's pretty big for me in the mornings. I don't eat breakfast and it's just something I've been doing for a long time. And just like the healing effects of it is something I really love. And kind of the ability to have very attention by not eating in the mornings. Because when you're eating, then now your body's spending all this time and energy digesting that food. And when you kind of skip breakfast, you're like I feel like very more aware and awake. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. For me, for sure. And so I skip breakfast and I'll eat like a very early, it's actually kind of a late breakfast. I do overnight oats every morning and I'll eat them like around 11 or 12, but then, and then I settle into my work routine.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What you listen to, it really does affect your mood. And so consuming the right content is important. Like you with the audiobooks or with when you were learning about real estate and investing, like you consume that and it just the direction of your day, it changes it. Yeah. And what you do is sets the tone for the rest of it, honestly. And so I agree with you. Listening to something uplifting and positive is crucial because you want to feed your mind just as you're feeding your body, right? We're talking about intermittent fasting and not eating, but you got to feed your mind as well.
Yes.
So I can definitely relate to that. Well, that's very insightful. What about workouts? What about meditation? What about those other things that kind of get you grounded? What do you do?
Yeah. So meditation, definitely in the morning when I'm having my coffee, I use the Calm app. It's like, 10-minute guided meditation. I love it. I use their sleep stories at night occasionally if I'm having trouble sleeping. So that's really just what I do for meditation. And I'm a big, big fan of meditation and working out. Yes, that is huge in my routines. I don't do it in the morning anymore. I used to before I had kids, but now I'll do it when I get home from work. And it's honestly like the perfect time for me because I'll do it right after I get home from work and it'll give me like this rush of energy for the second half of the day. And then it's like a quick switch from nurse mode into like mom mode and real estate mode of like kind of that transition. So that's very crucial. And I'll just do like a 20-30 minute HIIT workout, like nothing more than 30 minutes at all, but something that'll really get my blood flowing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy, short and sweet, then just to change your peak state.
Yes.
For the second half. Now for real estate, because you're running, it's like you're running 3 businesses, right? Your family life, you're the nurse, and then you're in real estate. Now, are you working late into the night? How do you budget that?
Yeah, definitely. So my day, I go to the hospital from like 8 to 4, come home, work out. My girls get here around 6 and we'll like do dinner time, bath time, bedtime until they go to bed at like 8:30. And then usually after that is when I'm working on real estate. So I'm doing different activities that are pending, kind of some like marketing stuff, content creation, a lot of emails. That's when I'm like busting out a lot of my emails is like 9, 10 o'clock at night. But, I think the thing with routines is some people get caught up in all be all, like it's all or nothing. And if they like skip a workout or skip something or aren't feeling up to it, then it's just like, oh, they throw the towel out. Like, oh, I missed a workout. I just can't do it. It's not for me. And I think it's super important to note, like I went through like 3 weeks ago, I went a whole week without meditating in the morning. My daughter wasn't sleeping. She was up every night. I just couldn't wake up earlier to do it. And I mean, I definitely noticed it. I needed to be meditating, but it was just like, I was, dealing with my family and stuff. And so then it took like, okay, after the weekend, that Monday came, I'm like, all right, I got to get back into it. And so even with working out, I'll occasionally take like a week off because of something going on. And it's important to know and like listen to your body and not like beat yourself up about it when you fall out of routine, but just get back into it.
Yeah, and make adjustments as needed and as necessary. Thank you for being so human about it, right? We're too hardcore and so fixated on just having the routine. It's okay to fall off. It's okay to start again too.
Yes.
That's the beauty of that's repetition, that's habit. So question for you before we find out how to connect with you is, are you going to do real estate and investment long-term? People dream of getting to a place where they can leave their 9 to 5, or is this something you want to do both continuous?
Yeah, definitely. That's the long-term goal. I do love nursing so much that it would be hard to imagine giving that up. My husband and I's goal was always for him to move into like a real estate professional full-time before me, like within the next 3 to 5 years. And then at that point, kind of depending what's going on with my career, I've kind of advanced within the leadership roles at the different organization or the one I'm working at and have worked at for the last 5 years. So there's just different opportunities that I'd like to keep pursuing within my nursing career that I'm not really ready to give up. But I think potentially just having, for me, it's so important to keep working on real estate and grinding out that side hustle to give me the option down the road and not feel like I am a slave to work. Once you have kids and you're like, you have a 3-month-old and you're like, I have to go back to work. Like that feeling is very enlightening of like, yeah, I have to go back to work because I need to get a paycheck and not having that choice. And for me, it was hustling through this real estate stuff to give myself the choice, 5-10 years down the road of being like, hey, I can work part-time at this nursing job if I want to, or I can decrease my hours or maybe move into real estate full-time. I just wanted to have the choice down the road.
You got plenty of choices, Savannah. Please tell us, how can we connect with you? How can we find out about your real estate?
Yeah, definitely. So the Networth Nurse, you can find me under the Networth Nurse on all social media handles. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. My website's www.thenetworthnurse. I love connecting with people, especially real estate, anything else. If anything I've said is remotely interesting, please reach out. I would love to connect.
That's fantastic. I will put that on the show notes. This has been phenomenal. Thank you for your time and presence today and sharing nuggets about real estate and balancing both life or work, the nursing or 9 to 5, and then building a dream later on. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Awesome.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time,